When white settlers began to colonize North America, many Indian tribes were displaced, and some, such as Susquehannock of central Pennsylvania, ceased to exist. The Susquehannock were the earliest documented inhabitants of Susquehanna Valley. They were traditional hunter-gatherers as well as farmers, and like other Indian tribes in the area, they utilized companion planting of beans, squash, and corn. Captain John Smith visited the Susquehannock near what is modern-day Lancaster. It was documented that they lived in a fortified village of long houses and were surrounded by palisade walls. In 1634, the Susquehannock went to war with the Delaware Indians and defeated them. After this occurred, they were able to trade easily with the Dutch. Shortly after, in 1638, a Swedish settlement was established. This interrupted their trade with the Dutch, however, it also allowed them to trade with the Swedes. 4 years later, the province of Maryland declared war on the Susquehannock. However, the province was defeated. A formal peace treaty was reached that gave the Indians arms and safety on their southern flank. Maryland, in turn, received territories on both sides of the Chesapeake Bay. The peace treaty slowly evolved into a full alliance against the Iroquois. It was such a close arrangement that Englishmen were even assigned to the Susquehannock to defend the fort. The Susquehannock defeated an Iroquois invasion in 1663. Almost 10 years later, in 1672, they defeated another large army. 3 years later, in 1675, the Susquehannock suffered a major defeat and were forced to relocate. Maryland invited them to relocate to their province, and they did so shortly after the defeat. The next year, colonists attacked and murdered a number of Susquehannock Indians in retaliation for the murders committed by another tribe. The Susquehannock moved again to south of Washington, D.C. Again, the Susquehannock suffered casualties when their neutral village was surrounded by militias from Bacon's rebellion. The chiefs sought to negotiate with the militias and were instead murdered. The remaining Indians slipped away from the militias at night and returned to their original location near the Susquehanna River. Eventually, a treaty between the Iroquois and Maryland was reached. The Susquehannock were devastated from years of war and European diseases. Some of the natives joined the Iroquois to seek protection from the colonists. Others returned to their homes on the Susquehanna River. About 20 years later, several hundred of the remaining Susquehannock settled a town called Conestoga. 60 years later, a census of Conestoga showed that there were only 22 people living there. It is believed that the decline was due to many Susquehannock migrating to Ohio to join other tribes. Pontiac's rebellion of 1763 caused the retribution killing of 6 Indians at Conestoga. The remaining Indians fled to a Commonwealth-owned workhouse. The workhouse was unable to protect them, and the remaining natives were killed. And so the tribe that once held almost 10,000 square miles of territory was no more. There are, however, known Susquehannock descendants among other tribes, such as the Delaware and the Iroquois. The Susquehannock as a tribe, however, like so many others, has lost its individuality and has ceased to exist.